So today we are focusing on the third eye. Now, before we dive into that, I just wanted to share a little bit about just the process of awakening. And I feel like it's really important to address this because, especially this year, we've gone through the process of going through each of the chakras and we've built on, all the different, energies that we've been working through. So we started off at the beginning of the year with the root chakra, and then we did the sacral, and now we've gone all the way up to the third eye. And what happens for some people in this process, even just by doing these few meditations in the last few weeks, people's lives can really transform. Part of the process of going through awakening is recognizing these cycles of transformation and these cycles of evolution that we're going on, and also some of the key markers that happen in that. When we first started doing the stuff on the root chakra and the sacral chakra a few weeks ago, for some of you, there was a lot of clearing, a lot of stuff that was coming up. Some of you had some really big activations in the solar plexus one as well. And now that we've gotten all the way up to the third eye, we are really working with those higher frequencies and the energies that are more connected with the upper chakras. So in the process of that awakening, what happens is that people can really go down this pathway of seeing tangible results in their lives. So I'm just talking about the process of transformation when it comes to this journey that we've gone on in the last few weeks, and the tangible, evidence that things are actually happening is different from person to person. So most of you have been with me for quite a few months now. So doing something like, the chakra process over 7 weeks probably isn't going to have like a massive drastic shift in your life because you've been incrementally working on a lot of these things over a few months anyway, right? But what can happen for some people is, even just in the process of going through one round of this, is you can really start to see the shifts in your life in terms of things that are no longer, resonating with your new frequency actually start to fall away. Now, this is what I find really interesting. As we're getting to the last couple of weeks of this process, what can happen for people is that your life starts to rearrange itself to be in more alignment with the things that are actually true to you. Right? Because as you start clearing your sacral and you start clearing your root and you start clearing your solar plexus and you open your heart and then you start communicating and then, all the things start happening, the things that were previously uncomfortable for you and that you were already not liking are more likely to actually fall away. It could be something like, in fact, one of the most common things that happens when people join Origin Activation is people actually lose their jobs. And it seems almost counterintuitive to what you think would happen, because you think, okay, I'm up leveling and so everything should be amazing. My finances should be all amazing. My health is going to suddenly improve. And you expect this magic wand to get waved. But here's the thing. If you have, in the process of that, still been attached to things in the old part of your life, and there are things that you're still in that are no longer in resonance, it's very hard for the universe to deliver something new to you. So that's why a lot of people, when they do things like, sign up to a spiritual mentoring program, or even in my case, the people that join Origin Activation, the first thing that happens before they actually get to the point of before they get to the point where they're actually seeing the results in their life, they actually first have to let go of the things that aren't in resonance. So before you get the quantum leap and suddenly you make a lot of money, you may have to actually ditch the job that you hated anyway and clear the space for that, right? And this is the thing, right? I can see some of you nodding. When people get to that point in their life where the universe is like, right, we're clearing space, ironically, that's when people freak out the most. So I can give you examples of people when they join Origin Activation and then suddenly they lose their job and they're like, oh shit, I've just committed to this whole year program and I have to pay all this money and I've signed a contract and now how am I going to make it work? Right? And that's happened for, I'd say, probably about 30 to 40% of the group this year. This has happened to actually quite a few people. And what I say to them is like, they're coming to me. This is what happens. They come to me and they freak out and they're like, oh my God, Eesha, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I just look at them and I go, oh, great. So the universe is making space for this. In fact, I remember saying this to you, Magali. I was like, oh, cool. Like the universe is giving you space to do this. Like I come into gratitude with that. And that's the difference, right? The difference is in how you actually treat the things that are happening for you, realizing that they're happening for you and not to you, and shifting your mindset around that. Because if you want to achieve these higher, these quantum leaps and to really experience what it's like to be in these higher frequencies, you have to at some point let go of the things that are not in that resonance. So if you've been stuck in a situation, whether it's a job, a relationship, like whatever it might be, that is not in resonance, and then you say to the universe, I want to awaken spiritually and I want to go on this path and I want to do something different. And then you freak out when you break up or when you lose your job or when, you have to move house suddenly or like whatever happens. It's like you have to shift your frequency into gratitude so that the universe can keep supporting you. And this is actually one of the biggest mistakes that people make, because as soon as we start getting into these higher frequencies, you will start to notice things to change, right? It's part of the process. The process isn't working if you're just going to stay exactly where you are in the same situation, in the same life, doing the same thing that you've been doing this whole time. Does that make sense? So in order for you to actually move forward, sometimes there is a breaking down. And this is where it's like sometimes you have to break down before you break through. But when you do actually break through, it's so much better. Like Magali, you're fine now, right? Like everything worked itself out, right? Like everything's sorted, peachy, right? And it's part of the up leveling. So I guess this is an invitation, as we spend the next couple of weeks in the third eye and the crown chakra, we are going to be connecting with this higher level of consciousness. And we are going to be connecting with these aspects of ourselves that want us to live our best life. And in the process of that, be prepared to let go of the things that aren't that. And if you're scared to let go of that, that's actually normal. It's actually a good thing. I would be worried if you guys are moving through this program and not feeling the fear at some point along the way. Because this is the thing, right? The universe will test you. If you turn around to the universe and say, I want to live a high vibrational life, and you cleanse all your chakras and you do all the courses and you do all the things, but then when push comes to shove, you go, oh, I'm going to stay in the shitty job that I hate and I'm going to stay in the relationship that isn't serving me, and then freak out when the universe tries to change that, the universe is going to be like, oh, maybe that person's comfortable where they are. Maybe that person doesn't actually want to change, right? And this is where you have to be the one that has to be prepared to go through that transition. And to make that quantum leap, you have to get okay with the part where you jump and the net hasn't appeared yet. Yeah. And when you can get okay with that, when you can get okay with that space and just recognize that when you're making a decision based on alignment, knowing that the universe is actually going to support that it does. But if you then go back into your old patterns and your old beliefs, and suddenly I can't do this, and suddenly I'm getting cold feet, and suddenly I'm, like I'm freaking out. Like, yeah, okay, I get that people freak out, and I've done that too. But at the same time, where can you find the gratitude in that? Where can you actually take a different perspective and realize that actually you had to let go of those things in order to make space for something new? Does this make sense? Right. I mean, everyone says to me, hey, Eesha, help me spiritually awaken. I'm like, are you prepared to do what it takes? Because when we open your third eye and we open your crown and we get you connected to source, guess what? All the shitty things that you've been holding on to that aren't serving you are going to have to go. So if you liked your shitty things, then this program isn't for you, right? You shouldn't be doing New Earth Rising. But if you actually want to transcend beyond that and you want to, get into those higher frequencies, you got to be prepared for the consequence of that. And I say consequence, and it doesn't sound like the nicest word, but it really is the effect of, letting go of what wasn't serving you anyway in order to make space for something new. And the part where people are in that, I call it like the limbo land, that is actually the most difficult space to be in, because it's the point where you've taken one step forward, you kind of feel like you've got one step where you were. And then when you have to lift that back foot and move it forward, that's the part where it feels like everything's falling apart, but it's actually not. And that is one of the most powerful places to be in, because when you finally take that back foot out of that stuff that wasn't in resonance and you move it forward, what happens is you can actually start to fly. And this is where the universe goes, great, now I can catch you. Now I can support you. Now this person is actually ready and has taken action. Because there is nothing worse than spending your whole life meditating. And I say this as a meditation teacher. There is nothing worse than spending your whole life meditating and never taking any actual action on the things that you want to achieve in your life. So we can sit around and do, week after week, you can repeat this chakra process for, 4 or 5 iterations through the whole year. But if you don't change your actions to match that vibration, and if you don't act from the place that is in that higher alignment, then you won't actually see the results. The energetic part is a very, very important part of it. But the next part of it is actually the tangible actions that you take. So when you're in these meditations and you receive the guidance and you receive these visuals and you open up your third eye and you actually receive that, what is in alignment for you, it's up to you to then bring it into the 3D by taking the actions that allow that to happen. Because if you just sit around meditating all day, there is a fine line between spiritual awakening and spiritual bypass. And spiritual bypass is where you think you can sit on a mountain all day and suddenly things are going to happen. But when it comes to actually, if you have a business, when it comes to making sales calls, when it comes to, having difficult conversations with your partner, when it comes to like trusting in that next step along the way, if you're not able to do that, then nothing in your life will actually change, no matter how much you meditate. Yeah. And this is where the pieces actually all work together. To have an integrated approach in your spirituality is recognizing that, yes, meditation is very important. If you're a business owner and you have a business and you don't meditate, then you're too far on the other end of the spectrum. But if you meditate all day, but you're not willing to actually do the work in terms of in the 3D reality, then you're also just bypassing. So there is a fine line in the middle, and this is the line we walk in the pathway of integrated awakening, where we awaken spiritually, but we also bring it into our life. This is, I'm a little hesitant to tell the story, but I will because it's you guys, and you guys know me kind of well by now. So my aunties in India all consider themselves very, very spiritual, right? Their idea of spirituality is going to the temple every single day, feeding the cows, and then they come home and they bitch and gossip about each other. But because they did their spiritual thing in the morning, they're like, cool, that's my spirituality sorted. Where's the integration in that, right? Like if you're then going to come home, it's like you're going to come out of your meditation and you're not going to take the action, and you're not going to bring in the kindness into your life, and you're not going to take the actions on your business, and you're not going to serve people. Then what was the point of all of that? Like you can go feed the cows all day, every day in India and consider yourself spiritual. But when push comes to shove, it's how you actually live your life that makes the difference. And you can be a good person and you can live a spiritual life without feeding the cows in the temples in India, right? This is where it's about who you are as a person and the actions that you take that go hand in hand with the person that you're becoming. So it's not one or the other. It's actually having an integrated approach, taking aligned action in such a way that when you do connect to these higher frequencies, you're able to receive them and embody them. And when you can embody them, that's where the real change happens. And that's when you start to see that the people around you start to shift. I know, Gay, you experienced this when we were working together as well, because just by you changing you started to see the people around you started to awaken and ask more questions. You didn't have to do anything. Do you remember that? It was beautiful, right? And this is it. It's because you embodied it. You weren't just talking about it, you were actually doing it. And that is where the magic happens. So today we are going to go on a journey and we're going to open our third eyes, but it's not just about the pretty pictures, right? It's about how we take that information and how we bring that into our life and how we integrate that, because that is the true awakening. And it's actually here in the 3D. It is the 3D that is ascending, right? It has nothing to do with being out there in some parallel universe. It's actually right here, right now, in the present moment. And this is where the work is. And this is where we need to be. So let's begin by taking a deep breath in through the nose, exhaling out. Let's give ourselves permission to be fully in this moment. Right here, right now. Breathing in through the nose, exhaling out. Just allowing your body to completely relax. On your next in breath, bring your awareness to your heart center. Just taking a moment to connect into your heart star, allowing your heart star to radiate strong and bright, lighting up each and every cell in your body. Keep radiating this light out until each and every cell in your body is filled with this white light. On your next in breath, breathe golden light through the crown into your heart. And then balloon that light outwards until you have a beautiful golden torus field of light. Connecting from your heart up through the crown, through the soul star, and down and around your energy field. Coming up through the earth star and flowing into your heart. On your next in breath, breathe from your heart down into the heart of Gaia. And feel that connection between your heart and hers. Breathing that beautiful heart connection from the heart of Gaia into your heart, and up through the crown, connecting to Source. Allowing that love to flow through your crown into your heart. On your next in breath, bring your awareness to your sacral chakra, visualizing a white water lily filled with light. Next in breath, bring your awareness to your heart, visualizing a white rose of light shining bright. And now I'm breathing up to your third eye, visualizing a white diamond of light. Just taking a moment to really feel that chakra. Noticing how the energy feels in that space. For some of you, it might be buzzing or tingling. For others, it might feel very weak or hard to detect. Wherever you're at is okay. I want you to imagine now the indigo colored light inside your third eye. Imagine from the center of your chakra in your third eye, there is a tiny little rosebud, an indigo colored rose. And from the center of the chakra, it starts to open outwards, blossoming ever so gently, ever so slowly. As you start to open your third eye, you may start to see some visions or lights as you close your eyes and just stare at your inner world. I want you to allow yourself just to gently go on the journey with the visuals. It doesn't matter what they are. At times it's almost like being in a dream. But just allow the visions to change and move as you keep focusing on this opening of your third eye. ever so gently, ever so softly, allow yourself to go on this visual scape of whatever is being presented to you at this time, knowing that it doesn't have to mean anything. It just is what it is. Let yourself go along for the ride, just like you're watching a movie in your mind's eye. next in breath, imagine that there is a thread of light connecting your third eye to your heart. Feel that white light flowing between these energy centers. Setting the intention that everything you see in your inner vision is seen through the perspective of the highest love, that is seen with clarity. Now bring your awareness back to your third eye. Visualize a blue 3D 6-point star or a Merkaba. It's the same thing. This blue star is to bring clarity in our vision, so that what we see is truth without distortion. Just holding that 6-point star in your third eye in a light blue color, and just see it gently rotating. On your next in breath, breathe that energy from the third eye down through the heart. I'm just going to take a deep breath now into the earth. It is normal after this practice to have a slight headache or tension in that area. So we just want to take some time to really ground ourselves before we come back. Let's take some deep breaths into the body. Breathing deep out through the feet into the earth. Imagine that you have roots coming out from the base of your spine, connecting all the way down to the heart of Gaia. Roots coming out from your feet, connecting into the earth. And then when you're ready, just slowly starting to bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your body. And gently coming back. Taking some deep breaths, have a little stretch. Okay, welcome back, guys. So I am going to put you guys into rooms in a second so you can integrate. I just want to share a couple of things about this practice. When it comes to working with the third eye, it's really, really important that we do this in a really grounded way, right? The third eye is something that, when it comes to spiritual awakening, a lot of people feel that that's the one that you should open. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are like, teach me how to open the third eye, because they think it's like the be all end all of spiritual awakening, and that could not be further from the truth, right? And you guys know from being in this group long enough that when it comes to spiritual awakening, all the energy centers need to be in balance with each other. But what can happen with the third eye is that once your visuals start to open up, and this is just, I feel like it's just a human nature thing. What happens for people is that they can get very attached to the images, the pictures, the pretty, journeys that we can go on. And it's so important to remember that while the third eye allows us to see, it's still the heart that allows us to feel. So the heart and the third eye have to be working together in order for you to actually start accessing what's happening in higher dimensional realms. If you just have one or the other, then you're kind of still walking around in those realms a little bit blind. And I know this because I've had so many experiences myself earlier on where, I used to go into these realms and I thought I was seeing Archangel Michael, and it would look like Archangel Michael. But then when I actually felt with my heart energy and I, really tapped into that, I realized, oh, it's actually not, it's actually something else. And so seeing is amazing. Opening your third eye obviously is very beneficial, but it can't be the only thing that you rely on, right? You still have to be grounded. You still have to be connected to your heart. You still have to have all the rest of the chakras in balance with each other so that you can have a true experience of what's happening in those realms. And that's why, today we brought in that little blue star, because I know sometimes that when it comes to opening the third eye, there is a lot of room for distortion in that space. If you don't know what you're doing, you can see anything and everything, and you can get very lost in these beautiful visual journeys. And I know that because I've been there, right? So Yeah, it's a beautiful practice to do. It's just really important to recognize that this is just one part in the bigger picture of everything else that we do, and to not get reliant on just this one thing. I know sometimes people get very excited about opening the third eye, and they just want to open more and more and more, because you do get all the pretty pictures and you do get all the colors and all the journeys and all the things that go with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just recognize that is one piece in the bigger scheme of things. And to do this correctly, it does require you to be connected to the heart, to be grounded into the earth, so that whatever images you do receive are coming through the highest light vibration rather than coming through any distortion frequencies that may get in. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. All right, so I'm going to pop you guys into rooms. You can do your sharings and then we'll come back and finish up. All right, see you guys in a few minutes. good stuff, guys. That was a great session. Some very powerful visuals on my end as well. Even when I'm facilitating a third eye one, I feel like there's so much expansion happening in the space. It was like all our energies were just like connected up in that realm. When it's very busy, is it clearing? Not necessarily. If you're getting lots of visuals, but I imagine everyone had lots of visuals today because the whole point of today was to just open up the third eye. So I imagine most of you were just getting like bombardment of like all different things, right? That's kind of what I would expect in that process. And it takes a while before the visuals really stabilize. And because we were going through an expansion, all I was seeing was just like images flying around for everyone. So that's kind of about what you'd expect in a session like this. A lot of us, when we first open our third eyes, we do very much start going into that 4D sort of space. So we are seeing just the chaos of everything. So you can start to see like you're saying, the military stuff, the futuristic stuff, that's very characteristic fourth dimensional sort of visuals. And then obviously when you get more, I guess, in tune, and when your third eye is more connected to your heart, it really starts to stabilize. And that's where some of the, I guess, the deeper processes of going into, multidimensional travel and that sort of thing come in. So yeah, today, if you guys just had like lots of crazy hectic visuals, that's about normal, and that's about what I would expect. I would imagine a few of you have a bit of a light headache after that as well, which is quite normal too. So just keep drinking lots of water, keep grounding yourself, because there's quite a lot of just things that are opening up. Zero visuals is interesting. I'd suggest, Jenny, you probably don't go do this again during the week. The whole point of today is to open up the third eye. But of course, if there were things that were blocking that and there were emotions coming up, totally fine, totally normal. I would suggest you just repeat it so that the next time you can actually get that more visual experience as well. Because the third eye one usually is designed to be quite visual. And I do keep it very open-ended in that I don't tell you what to see, but generally people just get like flashes of colors and like symbols and all sorts of things coming in. So it's quite a good one just to start opening up those channels and getting more, I guess, comfortable with that more visual experience, particularly for those of you that are more feelers, which I know you are, Jen. So yeah, it's definitely just part of that process of awakening different capacities. I know one of the things I always do say in this group as well is that, you work to your strengths. So if you typically are more kinesthetic, or you are more feeling, or you are more knowing, then, you do enhance that. But for the purposes of this particular meditation, the intention is to open up the visual realm. So just do it another couple more times until you get more practice at that. So yeah. All right. That was amazing, guys. All right. Bye, guys.